And hello and welcome back to the Los Angeles Tribune's Monday Night Live Show. Today, I'm Dr. Natalie Forrest, and next to me, depending on how you view the screen, is the amazing Miss Goldie Locks. We do have, of course, Mo Ruck in the back helping us out. And today, we have a very different kind of show for you.
Yes, definitely. We do. And we want you to listen with an open heart and open mind and support from wherever you are. Like today is all about supporting and hearing in different women's stories, maybe your own story or maybe a neighbor or a friend, but it's all about awareness. So, like I said, have a very open mind and an open heart tonight. We're very grateful that you're with us tonight, all of you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Goldie. And anybody in the audience, we invite you to, as Goldie also said, if you hear something that touches you, please let us know. We are thinking of this not as the only show, but this is more than newsworthy. It is more than socially required for us to talk about it. And it most certainly is real. So
Definitely.
let's bring up two of our guests. And please bear with us, by the way, as we're bringing in our guests one by one, time at a time, that we may not be sharing all details about their location, their stories, etc. So this is going to be raw for some of us and real for all of us. Trust Destiny, thank you so much for joining us today. Sheena Johnson, thank you so much for being here. Before we dive into what brings you here, I do want to, number one, express my gratitude for you being here and sharing your story. And secondly, I don't want to be amiss by telling briefly how we met, because we met through Lena and Jay Noland, and especially Lena when she was doing the women's abuse event on Clubhouse. This is where I got to hear your story. And Mo Rock and I and everybody at the Los Angeles Tribune, Goldie, everybody felt this was really necessary to share. Leaving it at that, because I don't want to go too deep. Trust, do you want to maybe give a little introduction to what experience we're going to have, since you are sort of one of the people who helped us make this possible?
And unmute your mic, my dear. Trust needs to unmute so that we can hear. Thank you.
I gotcha. Hi, I'm Trust Destiny. This segment is about abuse in women empowerment. How do you overcome and what that looks like? I have my own situation of abuse. I was a teenage mom and did some things out of wanting to appease my parents. And so I stayed in relationships and did not tell anybody what was going on. And it's more common than what we think. Not only does it happen to women, but it also happened to men. And so I finally took my power back and I left, which set me on my journey of wanting to help other women, which is how I found Sheena, and actually found Sheena on Clubhouse. And so Sheena became a sister of mine. So today I would like to focus on Sheena. And if you guys have any questions for me in regards to my own story, I'm very open. I just want to save others before they go into a relationship. And if they're in a relationship, let's figure out how to get them out.
Absolutely. Thank you, Trust. And thank you also for the support that you're providing for Sheena and so many others. I do very briefly, Sheena, if you don't mind, want to bring in our third guest. And we will first focus, of course, on your story, Sheena. So let me also bring in Namalokai. Hello. Thank you also for joining us. We really appreciate you. You're still on mute, hon.
Okay, can you hear me?
There you are. We do appreciate you, and Trust was just sharing very briefly with us how she met Sheena. So we're going to let Sheena tell her story, and we will just listen, learn, and then support where we can. Sheena, please feel free to go ahead.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sheena Johnson. I am from Tennessee. What you see now is a very, very, very strong person. I have overcame a lot of abuse in my life. Um, I don't look like what I've gone through. I don't look like what I've been through. I wouldn't call myself a victim. I would call myself a survivor. I was shot 6 times by my husband in front of 2 of our children. Twice in my left arm, once in my chest, once in my right arm, and twice in my face. However, that's not where the abuse started. That's not where it ended. So I'm still fighting till this day. Um, I'm currently still married. He will not sign the divorce papers. Here in Tennessee, there's a lot of things that are going wrong as far as my case is concerned. We are still going through my case, so I can't speak on a lot of things. My faith in God, as well as my child, that's what saved my life, as well as the doctors. I was flown to Memphis, where they did several surgeries on me. I had a trach. I had 2 bullets removed. I had a bullet removed from my neck, a bullet removed from my back. I still have 3 bullets left in me. I'm due to have surgery. However, now I have a cardiologist, and my cardiologist is not letting me have surgery right now due to the fact of me being at risk. So I do still have more tests to go before I'm able to have that surgery. My goal first is to completely heal myself. The reasoning why is because I feel like I was left here because I have a purpose. Not only am I supposed to be a mother to my 3 children who are left here on this earth, but I feel like my purpose is to help save families from abuse such as mine. I don't want them to get to the point that I had to get. I was literally shot, a weapon formed against me. I was shot 6 times and left to die by the person who was supposed to love me, who I thought loved me. However, the abuse, like I said, the abuse didn't just start from the shooting. It began very early. My first time getting hit, I was pregnant with my first child. So therefore, is we stay in relationships for reasons other than ourselves. We have to love ourselves first. We have to realize we have to be there for ourselves first. And some of us stay in relationships. I can give you a number of reasons why I stayed in a relationship and why I stayed in a marriage and even why I got married. I can give you a number of reasons, and I'm going to have to pause a lot because my mouth does hurt because I said I was shot. Um, this is where a bullet came out. That was the only one to come out. The rest of them were in me. One of them, the doctor had removed from the surgeon had removed from my neck. Another one, the surgeon had removed from my back. My C1 vertebrae was crushed by a bullet. But I thank God that happened because had it not been crushed, it would have hit my spinal cord and I would have been paralyzed from the neck down. This is serious. And it's not only about women, it's about men. I don't want to save just one life. I want to save 2. Because what the perpetrator or the predator or the abuser doesn't realize is not only is he hurting the victim's family, he's hurting his own family as well. So Therefore, that's a little bit about my story. Um, and if you all have any questions, you can ask.
I want to say how beautiful you are. Like, I didn't know when you first came on backstage that you had any injuries. I just saw a banging hot chick and I was like, wow. And now you tell me what's wrong. And I hear that I'm here left with a purpose and I'm just blown away because physically your outer beauty is beautiful, but then the inside. And I love that you not only think that about yourself, Sheena, but you know that because my father was in some serious accidents. And I always look at him and I think, what am I to learn from you, Dad? Like, what is it that you're teaching everybody? Because you should be dead. And even in the midst, like, I feel like God, and I love that you started out by thanking God, even though you've been through a storm. Okay. I love that you're still there. And I feel like God kicks us all in the, you know what? And then when I'm having a bad day today, well, I guess I'll take my bad day and check it at the door because it doesn't match yours. So if anything, you are this amazing example for the rest of us to just chill and figure out what we can do. I want to ask you, if I would have known you right when you got married, or maybe after your first child, as your friend, as your neighbor, what could I have done better for you?
Um, it doesn't really rely on a friend. I do have one best friend, and she tried. And what she told me was I had to realize it for myself.
Okay.
There was nothing that she could have done to help me but to be there for a shoulder to cry on, or to wipe up my blood, or to meet me at the hospital, or not to tell my grandmother what was going on, or to hold my secrets. And she would talk to me, but it was when I got tired, I had to get to the point to where, okay, I cannot anymore. Not for me. This is not good for my kids. I need to break this cycle right now. And when I did that, the before I got shot, and this is what a lot of people don't understand. You have to have a calculated plan in order to leave your abuser, because I didn't have a plan. I said I wanted to leave. And because of that, I got shot. So, in order to leave your abuser, like, you literally have to think and have come up with a plan and have a calculated plan, because they're narcissists.
Yes.
They're smart. They're very smart. They can outbeat the system. This has
Conniving.
happened on several occasions. It's still happening.
Mhm.
And sometimes I'm here and it's like it's me against the world. But I know I have God on my side, so I'm not giving up. I can't give up. I have 3 kids. I have got to be here for. I cannot give up. Not only that, if I give up, then what is the rest of the world looking at? Oh, here lies Sheena. She survived, but she gave up. No, that's not why. In Destiny's Child's words, I'm a survivor. So for people just out there who are going through abuse, like, I get it. The the most thing as a friend is to be empathetic to the situation, because a lot of people fail to show empathy. A lot of people think it's funny until they're in the same situation. Like I've been I've been empathetic my whole life because of stuff that has happened to me throughout my life. So when I get shot, instead of me laying around in my salts, I'm sorry, it's hard for me to
We
get
got
it
you.
out.
You're
We got
fine.
you.
You're
Laying
fine.
around, I I just built myself up. It was a must that I built myself up. I have two living girls. I have a deceased child as well. She died when she was 3 months. I have two living girls and a son. And they have got I have got to lead by example. Like that cannot be the only thing they see. And for me, I'm the victim. I was hit. My daughter's a victim too. I can't tell her story. Only she can tell her story when she's ready. I can't. I don't know what it is to look outside of her eyes and see what she saw and do what she did. Everything she did. My daughter jumped into action. She was also threatened. So I can't sit here and say, well, she's going to be all right. She'll be okay. No, I'm here to empathize. I'm here to listen.
Sheena, I have heard so many different here peers. Yeah, listen to peers. Amazing, man. I've heard a lot of people's stories over the years, but I have never heard during them telling their story something it's not simple, but something as important as what you just said about having a plan. Now, you said that you want to be an example and you want to help others. And I am racking my brain right now. And I would love it if you wouldn't mind sharing with all of us, looking back now, what kind of a plan that you maybe could have, would have had, or in retrospect, what are some things that would have worked more in your favor if you could have gone back and changed? Like when you say narcissist, I just had my first experience with a narcissist 2 years ago, and it was in business. We might as well been married. We might as well been in a relationship because the amount of psychological and mental abuse, just even as a business partner, and you're like, it's almost like you're in disbelief and you're thinking, well, I'm already in it a year and I'm financially tied and it can't be this bad and it can't get that much worse. And then all of a sudden, it's almost like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, or I think maybe this person was bipolar. And one moment they could be the most lovely human beings in the world and you think everything is going well. And then all of a sudden, from out of nowhere, it just hits you. And then you're just like, you're almost in disbelief. And I look back now and I think, well, there was a red flag, but sometimes it's just not so easy. Just, oh, I can leave, especially if you've got 1, 2, or 3 children and you're being a mom and you're busy and you know how taking care of I don't have a child and I don't know how I can't even take care of myself, lady. So I don't know how you're doing it with 3. And I look at I listen to what you're saying and I look at it and I think, what could you have done looking back differently now that you are more clear-headed so that the people that are listening right now, something will trigger in them, okay, maybe it's not as hard as I think, or maybe if I do this, I can get out. Or do you know where I'm going with this?
Mm-hmm. For one thing, before it happened, I wasn't even in town. I had went to Kansas to my cousin's house because it was already triggers there that something bad was going to happen. So I then fled. That should have been my plan set in motion. I shouldn't have, because my kids didn't even want me to come back. They begged me. All the way from Kansas to St. Louis, all the way to the stop sign by the road. They begged me, Mama, turn around. Even my 3-year-old son at that time, he said, I miss Speedy. That was a dog name. I miss Speedy. Let's go back. They begged me. I had a good feeling before I left, but never did I think I was going to get shot. I thought something bad was going to happen, okay? He gonna hurt me, but I didn't think I was gonna get shot. We should listen to our gut feelings. When we put a plan in motion, the plan is not to be discussed with except for people or the one person that you trust that's there for you. That plan should not be discussed, because if it gets back to your abuser, you're in trouble. It's gonna be some trouble behind it. Like, it's not easy to leave, and people don't realize that it's not simple. You literally have a calculated plan. Sometimes you have to burn some bridges and not even tell them what's going on, just so you won't get yourself hurt or your children hurt. And then go back and explain, this is why I did this. This is why I did this. This is why I did this. Because if it's trigger words, leaving, I want a divorce, I'm going. I've been trying to get a divorce since I was pregnant with my son. After I had my son, I went and tried to get a divorce, and they told me $5,000 off the top. And that's because we had children, and he was going to fight. I knew he was going to fight. And that was just a retainer's fee. So, and that was, I didn't even make him aware of that part. Like, I could tell him, I want a divorce, I want a divorce, I want a divorce. It's all about control. So sometimes you have to flip it and make him think, okay, you can have control of the situation in order to get out. Because that may be your only escape.
You make a really good point with that. And I was writing down what you were saying. You're saying, number one, trust your gut. Number two, make your plan and don't discuss it with other people. You know, you're better off just apologizing later and doing what you have to do. I also want to remind people that are listening that there are two different numbers. One is the domestic violence hotline, and you can look that up, or it's 1-800-799-SAFE. 1-800-799-SAFE. There also is an amazing organization that I don't know if everybody knows about. That's the YWCA. They are everywhere, okay? And the YWCA I've been involved with for many years. I know it well too. It's a number that you can call to help formulate that plan. Where am I going to go? Where am I going to stay? Can I get a job? Am I safe someplace? Can I further my education? They even help people, men and women, both get their GEDs. So if you don't have a friend to call, there are resources out there. And I will say, as far as the YWCA, amazing human beings and people. And I didn't even know about that till I started working with them. Trust, when you hear all of this, what are your thoughts?
That's my story too. You're absolutely correct about having a plan and not letting your left hand know what your right hand is doing. To include friends and family, because friends sometimes can mean well and then accidentally say something, which then puts you back in danger.
Right.
And she's completely right. It's a control issue. That's exactly what it is. And you have to take control of your life again. You're either going to choose to live or you're going to choose to die. That's it. That's it. And what you said about the YMCA, the YWCA, that's who helped me, flew me from where I was to where I needed to be. And then on top of that, they also have a domestic violence unit inside the police department. Mm-hmm. And they're the ones that connected me. And I will never forget my advocate's name, Miss Nancy. Amazing woman. And I will forever be grateful for her because she saved my life.
Mm-hmm. And I want to point out that there are a lot of comments of support on the Facebook page. And there's also a question. Now, I want to pull the question up real quick because we have you here who is sharing your experience and as Goldie said, trying to look back a little bit. So Sheila was asking the question, should you start making copies of important documents and stashing them away? And my guess is that that might also go to the question of, you said if you want a divorce, how do you get it? You need money, you need documents. So what would your answer be to Sheila? Sheila, thank you for that question.
Sheila.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I make copies of everything. I have copies of everything. With my case is a little different. There's corruption within my case. Um, his aunt is the clerk at the police station.
Hmm.
So therefore all my paperwork runs through his mom's sister. So when my divorce lawyer calls to get paperwork for me, he has to talk to the aunt and she has to pull the paperwork. So I have a rap advocate, and she has been here with me since we I've been put through pure hell.
Mhm.
And it's not at the judge's point, it's at the sheriff's department's point. We can't make it past there to get to the judge. It stops at the clerk.
I would like to add to that as well. It's very imperative to make sure you have your documents in order. Even if you don't feel like you have a trusted friend, you can always store your things at the bank and get you a safe somewhere.
Mhm.
But if you have children, also make sure that you have a POA to someone. And that's how I was able to get my children back from my abuser, is because I had a plan. I thought ahead. You always have to think ahead. And even when you come out of the abuse for years, you'll find yourself planning ahead. And so you have to be patient with yourself. But always, always, always get your documents in order. Make copies of everything.
Make copies of what, Trust?
So I had to do copies of the birth certificate, shot records, everything for the kids, my birth certificate, the lease that we had. I even had to do that because I had to prove at that time that I was allowed to be there, because I was told he told people that I should not be there. So the office was closed, right? So how could I go in and say that this was mine? So you have to be able to do those things. Make copy of your ID. What happens if he takes your purse? He or she takes your purse. You have nothing. What happens if the phone is confiscated or broken? You have nothing. So again, it is imperative to whatever you think that you need a copy of, do it.
Okay. I wouldn't have thought about that.
And
Yeah,
at this
it's
point,
okay.
I also want to bring in our third guest. And I know that means we're switching things up a little bit, but I also know that the wonderful Namalokai just expressed get copies of everything. And of course, what Namalokai is working on is also very important for getting documents. So I don't want to interrupt the story and the experience that Sheena and Trust were sharing with us, because it is so important to have trusted people. And if you don't have trusted people, as Trust Destiny was saying, get a safety deposit box. And at some point, you may need a lawyer. And how do you get to the lawyer without your abuser seeing it? How do you keep your kids safe? There are so many additional issues that we will explore more. And at the same time, I do want to ask Namalokai, and thereby giving Sheena and Trust a little bit of a breather, to bring in the issue that she deals with a lot, which adds to the women's abuse. Is that okay with everybody if we're switching it up a little
Yes,
bit?
ma'am.
Okay. All right.
Thank you,
So
Sheena. Thank you, Trust, so
thank
much for
you.
sharing all of that.
Yes.
And
You're
Nomalakai, thank
welcome,
you for being
babies.
here.
And there's much more, and I want you to stay in the room as well, because you've also met, of course, Namalokai. Namalokai, thank you so much for being here. You are a powerhouse dealing with another issue of women's abuse, and of course, this at the same time. It all goes together. Please enlighten us a little bit on what you're dealing with and what you're here to share.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much, Sheena. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I salute you. I hug you, my sister, and thank you for your strength because it's not easy to come and speak about your how you've survived. I see you as a strong woman, and I know you are unstoppable. And I want to give you a big hug and tell you, my sister, you are a lioness, and I thank you for instilling that fire of a lioness in me. I was holding tears back because I know that those tears are not tears of sadness, they're tears of joy because you survived. We survived, so we can tell our story and help another woman. Kudos to you. Give my love to your children and let them know that there's another lioness fighting with their mama lioness. I am so proud of you. I would love to connect with you because, listen, my sister, they didn't break you. They thought they were going to break you. They thought they were going to kill you. But guess what? You have so much more that they have not touched. Script back to you to the bottom of it because they have not even seen you and they have not even had you. They're just about to see who you are. But you got to heal first. You got to feel every single pain that you are put through so that you can come out healing. You cannot give my sister from an empty place. I am speaking to you because I survived domestic violence in 2018. I almost got killed. My kids saved me just the way your kids saved you. Yes, I was not shot like you. And I can never try to compare your trauma with my trauma. But this is what I can tell you. We survived so that we can tell our story. So that another woman listening out there sees that this is true. It is not easy to leave. I tried leaving 7 times. I hear you. I associate with your story and I feel you. I felt every single pain when you are when you're telling your story. I felt your pain. But guess what what your pain did to me? It instilled and increased the fire of a lioness in me to make sure that that law where you are has to be stripped out. We're going to have to come together and work on it because I know what I did in Kansas. I took what I hated, the things that didn't work for me, the things that were stopping me from being free, and I pushed it. And now there's an amended law in 2019. That's what I want to do for you, Sheena. That's how I can help you because I know how to push it. It only takes one person to believe in you. And me and you will find that one person because you know what? Tonight, you don't just have one person. You have millions of people watching you, hearing you, and knowing that they can be them. Domestic violence does not discriminate. You don't have to have education for you to be a survivor. I have 2 master's degrees. They did not save me. I have children. I was working for a government agency. That did not save me. I was in court each and every day saving other kids' lives, but I could not save myself because I was not living a true life, because I was trying to protect my perpetrator day in, day out because of the way he manipulated me. There's nothing you could have done to change what happened to you, but there's so much you can do for from now moving forward. You're already doing it. And do not let what happened to you define you. Rather, let what happened to you happen for you in a positive way now, changing your life so that you can have your children looking up to you and saying, Mommy did it. I can do it. Your grandkids will be looking at it and say, she is my hero. She did it, and I can do it. You are a survivor, my sister, and I salute you. I love you. Giving you such a big hug.
I love you.
Thank you for that, Namalokai. I just wanted to come in real brief and say thank you, heart to heart. I really appreciate it, and your power and your energy clearly spoke. thank you for adding that part of your story as well. Now tell us a little bit about the other work that you do that is probably for some people maybe even harder to hear, because in some ways we've become used to the term women's abuse, right? But
Yes.
tell us about what else you're working on.
So as you see me over here and you hear me speak with passion, I speak with passion because that is the only thing that I was left with. Passion to be able to change the evil things that are happening to little girls. When I was 11 years old, my life was changed forever. My voice was silenced at age of 9. And then at age 11, my clitoris was cut without my permission. Yes, you had me right. My clitoris was cut in the name of culture called female genital mutilation. A culture that should not be existing. A culture that a lot of people in America don't know that is happening in their neighborhood. I'm going to take a pause for a minute so you can hear me very clearly. It is happening in your neighborhood where you are right now. Are you in LA? Are you in Kansas? Are you in Texas? It is happening. And it's not a religious practice. It is a brutal culture that is there to oppress women day in, day out. It is not an African issue. It is not a Muslim issue. It is a brutal culture. It is not just happening to Middle Eastern. It is not happening just to Muslims. It is not happening to just Christian. I'm a Christian. It happened to me, but it's nowhere in the Bible. The only thing that is in the Bible is male circumcision. Female genital mutilation is not in the Bible. So let me put it in your perspective so you can be able to hear me very well and to understand why I'm passionate about this. In 2020, the pandemic hit. Most of us, or all of us, were shut down and were staying in the house. I cannot account for how many women, how many children have survived female genital mutilation. Why? Because it's a private practice. That a little girl, think about your little daughter, think about your little niece, think about your friend's daughter. Someone cut that clitoris and they can barely sit down in class on the ground, a kindergartner, where they sit down on the ground when somebody's reading their book. That has happened to so many girls here in the United States that we cannot be able to count because they had enough time to heal and they had enough time for their families to be able to hide it, because now there's no teacher that is going to say, Namelokai did not come to class. Why is Namelokai walking this way? Why can she not crisscross her feet very well and sit down? That kid may never know what to tell. But you can stop it. I survived female genital mutilation. It might not have happened here in the United States, but it's happening right here. And it's for you and me. Just like the way domestic violence is happening, we still have people that don't even understand why it's still happening or what it looks like. That's the same way people don't understand why female genital mutilation is happening and why people cannot stop. It's a culture embedded so deep in the roots that people celebrate it. So put it in this perspective. Can you imagine if you're a man listening to me and watching me, somebody cutting your penis? Because a penis is the same organ that a woman has as a clitoris. Yes, I say that. Female genital mutilation is defined by the World Health Organization as the altering of a female's vulva or vagina for non-medical reasons. We have over 200 million women in the world who are survivors of female genital mutilation. I'm one of those women. Every year, we have between 3 million to 4 million women and girls all over the world going through female genital mutilation. Some of the negative impacts of female genital mutilation, something I suffered with. I got UTIs every month, sometimes twice a month, sometimes every week. I took so many antibiotics in a way that I don't have a lot of antibiotics that I can take. I took so much ibuprofen that I cannot even take any more NSAIDs because I ended up getting ulcers because of female genital mutilation. I've had 7 cysts. I have 1 that is left that the doctor said they can't take it out because it's so little. Every time I gave birth to my children, I have 3 children, 2 girls, 1 boy. I had to be cut open surgery to protect me from tearing. Because if I had teared, then I'll have been able to survive something else called fistula. Fistula is where a woman's vagina, almost the entire vagina, breaks into 2. And when you poop, you don't even hear poop coming out. When you pee, you don't even hear pee coming out. You can't clean yourself and stay clean. Because every single nerve that is supposed to clean you is gone. Because a female vagina, a healthy female vagina, cleans itself. But when you are a survivor of female genital mutilation, those nerves are affected. Even when you try and clean and clean and clean, you're not going to be clean. That's where we have so many women trying to buy perfumes and everything because they don't know to clean themselves and they get infection day in, day out. I didn't die. But someone that was mutilated, the same day was mutilated, died. And that's why I will fight until I take my last breath, because I am not going to sit and see another woman dying. They might have tried to silence me when I was little, but I bet you they will not be able to silence me. In 2019, I reclaimed my womanhood. I met a hero, a shero that I'm in debt forever. A Dr. Gray. She looked at me and told me, "You're beautiful. I love you. And I will do my best to give you back what they took away from you." I got reconstruction surgery. And guess what? My clitoris works now. How are they going to stop me now? That's what I'm doing. Helping survivors of female genital mutilation right here in the United States know that they survive female genital mutilation. And they are not just surviving. They can thrive because I am thriving and I'm unstoppable.
Thank you. Thank you, Namalokai. Michelle also said that you are a representation of strength and love. So she is listening to you as well. I want to pose a question here, because obviously you're using a lot of terminology that a lot of people are not comfortable with. And I appreciate that because it's important for us to hear, especially the comparisons.
Yes.
Now, in what we're talking about today, would you consider female genital mutilation a form of women's abuse?
Absolutely, because it's supposed to oppress a woman. When I was growing up, I was told as a little girl, it's changing though. I was told that women are only there to be seen, but not to be heard. So we are puppets. We serve literally the men. We are like the slaves for the men. That is not the entire Africa. So I don't want people to have misconception. It's in some cultures. But if you think about it, even here in America, how long have we been fighting for women to be able to be heard? We're still fighting right now for us to be heard fully. So that it's part of, and the reason why I do not apologize by using the name clitoris or using the name penis. Let me tell you why I don't apologize. Because the moment we will start teaching our children the true names of their body parts, the very day that we can end something like rape, something that I survived too. Because then when your child comes and tell you, a man put the penis inside me, then you listen. But when a child comes and tell you somebody touched me, you're not going to get it. That's why it's important. And that's why I'm using it, because people have normalized abusing women. We have to be comfortable having the uncomfortable conversations so that we can end the abuse of women. We are being abused day in, day out. In jobs, a supervisor can just abuse it the way they want because you're a woman. Because what? It's a locker room talk. We've normalized it. A man will go and cut my clitoris, allow and find for my clitoris to be cut because his penis is not getting cut, and he can still continue to function. So what do? We stand up together as women, and we start saying those names that are not supposed to be said, so that we can make them uncomfortable, so we can end it. So I challenge you watching me here today. Get comfortable listening and hearing me scream and amplifying, saying a clitoris. I have the right to my clitoris. You have the right to your clitoris. You have the right as a woman to be free. Nobody has the right to lay their hands on you. No. Neither do you have a right to lay your hands on someone else. Everybody has the free will.
You're on mute, honey.
Me?
Thank you.
There you go.
I have a question for you. And, it's so interesting because on broadcast TV, you can say all of the male parts, but you cannot say the female equivalents. That's not allowed. I have a podcast where I have a doctor who comes on, and she's a doctor of nurse practicing. She's amazing. And we say the words vulva, vagina, clitoris as many times as we possibly can. And it's a nice place for her to come. You mentioned something that if a man gets circumcised, that does not interfere with his sex drive or his feeling or his enjoyment or his pleasure. When a man gets circumcised, it is done at birth, and it is the family's choice then, because there is something surrounding this, which is, I don't think it's necessarily true, but there's something to thought of as clean or this or that, when I know plenty of men who are not circumcised who are just as clean and just as fine. So a woman getting her clitoris taken off is usually not at birth. Am I correct on that? It's usually when you're 9 or 10. And why is that, first off, that they wait until you are a little woman to do this?
Actually, if you asked me, I would never compare a man's circumcision with a female genital mutilation. Let me tell you.
I wouldn't either.
Let me tell you why I don't compare it.
Some people might, though.
Yes, I don't compare it because I get it. There are people who are against male circumcision. It is circumcision. It is, and I'm not minimizing for those people who are against it. I'm not minimizing it. Everybody has free will. So your family gets together and they're done, and it's done with local anesthesia, and you're given medical care. With female genital mutilation, there is no local anesthesia. There is no clean equipment that are being used. You just imagine somebody opening your vagina, forcing you to stay down and cutting you all the blood, nothing. So that's why I don't like comparing it, because the trauma that you start having even prior to getting to get female genital mutilation, to get mutilated, is way too much. Let me tell you what happens. They pour cold water on you from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet to cool your blood. You tell me, and that's not even cold water from the freezer. It's cold water that is put in a jerry can. So that's what is used. And the knife that is used to mutilate you is a knife. It's not suture, no suturing, no nothing. And guess what they pour on you? They don't put medication in there. They pour milk on your vagina. They pour milk on your cat vulva. So you want to compare female genital mutilation with male circumcision? I will give you the details of how it's done. It is not pretty. And a man will be mutilated, will be circumcised. Their penis is not being cut. A woman's penis, a woman's vagina, the clitoris, the beautiful flower that God gave us, is cut. Let me describe this for you. There are 4 types of female genital mutilation. Type 1, they cut the clitoris, either half of the clitoris or the entire clitoris. Type 2, they cut the entire clitoris, and I like saying the lips of the clitoris, just for simplicity. But it's called labia minora and labia majora, for those who understand the scientific terms. Type 3, is the most and the worst. They cut out the entire clitoris. They cut out the flowers. They put their hand inside there, scrape out every single nerve, every single meat inside there, and leave you hollow like this. And then they pull your skin together, tie it, and zip it together, tie it together, like literally suture it together, leave you with a small hole like this, so that you can be able to go use the restroom with that. That's type 3 of female genital mutilation. Type 4, when little girls are little. And in type 3, there are 2. Sometimes they might not even cut your clitoris. They cut the lips of the vagina. They pull out the meat together and they suture it. And then they leave the clitoris laying down like that. And then so that it doesn't grow, it doesn't do anything, you don't have function for it. And then they leave you with the same hole. Ask me why? To punish you. Ask me why? Because they say that you're not going to be clean if you do have that. Tell me, how clean are you going to be when you cannot even have your natural cleaning, what God gave you, your natural way of cleaning your own vagina clean itself? Type 4 is where they get a needle or they get a pin and put it and lock, like the way you put a pin to lock, like what do you call a safety pin? They put a safety pin and they lock your clitoris when you're a little girl. That is done for little kids. That is what female genital mutilation is. You might ask me, why are they doing it? It's a horrible culture, period.
Now, Molokai, thank you for the details. Now, you keep using the term culture. And earlier you said it happens not just in Africa, not just in other countries, it happens in the United States, and it's not really religious, it's not really this, it's not. So what type of culture is it?
It's a culture of abuse, a culture of oppressing women, a culture of making sure that women's voices are being silenced. Because guess what? They know very well that when women get together, when women are very strong, women are very brilliant, and when women have everything that they need, let's take it spiritual here for a minute. The best way to manifest for what you're going to be as a woman is when you have all your parts intact. The best way to manifest, because God gives sex as a gift to women and men. So just think about it for a minute spiritually. Let's just take it spiritually for a minute. When a woman is getting an orgasm, because when you, and I'm doing deliberately sexually this time. This is something I've never talked about. When a woman is getting an orgasm, a woman that has no clitoris will not get an orgasm because all those nerves have been affected. We know very well the best time to manifest for the spiritual people is when you're getting an orgasm, both for men and for the women. When a man is coming, for those who do not understand, I have no problem having an uncomfortable conversation. So when you take that one out, then you're taking the power over women away, not just the physical power, the emotional power, the psychological power, the sexual power, everything. And that woman is just left useless. That woman is left to beg you so that you can make her satisfied. She's not going to get satisfied, but you will be. So it's a way of making sure that women don't have a voice anywhere. Absolutely. That's the culture. They say women are dirty if they don't get mutilated. You tell me which woman is this that is clean that has been mutilated. Where did that come from? It's just a myth. It's just excuses, just like the way they have excuses and say when a man is talking, is whistling over there, pulling a woman down. Oh, it's just men talk, locker room talk. It's the same bullcrap. Excuse my language.
You can use any language you need to, hon. You can use any language you need to. Yes, Goldie, of course.
You're blowing us away with all of this, and it's making me sick, and I thank you for that so that I'm more aware. And all I can think of is asking you, we heard from Trust and we heard from Sheena on some things. This is what you should do. This is what we could do, what we can do. I'll share with you 30 seconds or less, Dr. Forrest. I started in 1999 doing motivational speaking to children where I grew up in Minneapolis, usually third grade, so 9, 10. And some of the kids in specific cultures would come to me and say, and since then, I've always wanted to know, like, what can you ask the teachers, and the teachers would say, our hands are tied. We can't do anything because of, I think they said church and state, whatever. And you're saying this is just this culture. It's not this, it's not that. So listening to you, hearing you, not offended by any of the words that you're using. I welcome them all of us do. What can we do? Because honestly, what you said to me that impacted me the most wasn't the physical knife or the milk or the cold water, but it was thinking about a child knowing that this is coming and just that anticipation, that massive anxiety. Yes, the mutilation and all that, I couldn't even begin to understand what that feels like. But my heart dropped when you said, because they know it's coming. So what do they tell young girls that are 6, 7, 8, that you're unclean, or that you're, and are the kids, are they passive? Are they willing? Does any kid fight? What can we do?
Thank you so much for asking that question. Yes, kids fight. I fought and got beat up. I got beat up and I got pinned down so that I can listen, because you're fighting with adults. So that's how bad it is. So this is what you can do. The first thing I always tell people: you cannot pour from an empty cup. Educate yourself about what female genital mutilation is, so that when you go out there and speak to people about female genital mutilation, at least you know how to answer the question. Cultural sensitivity is very important in every level, as teachers, as social workers, as doctors. Do you know? Let me shock you right now. Do you know in the United States, not all doctors know about female genital mutilation, and they see patients all the time, don't have the language or don't know how to do it? They had it once in their school. When I was looking for therapy to get prepared to go get reconstructive surgery, because I was scared I was going to re-traumatize, which I did, got re-traumatized. I was offered in 2014 by the Clinton Global Initiative to go and get reconstructive surgery. I refused because I did not want to relieve the trauma. So it's not that there was no help for me. I was offered after I spoke my story, but I refused because I was scared. And that's the same thing that is happening to so many women. They are scared because they don't have therapists who can be able to teach them. So what can you do? Educate yourself. Let's amplify this. Help me be that voice. Support Keep Girls Safe Foundation, so that we can be able to have programs teaching everybody all over the United States what female genital mutilation is. In Europe, they have a booklet for all middle schoolers, from middle schoolers all the way to go up. We can bring that to the United States because it's something that is happening. The reason why, if you look at Europe, the statistics of Europe, or even domestic violence or even rape, they're lower than the United States, because they are not scared of talking about hard topics like this one. That's what we need to fight for as women, to bring it here. We cannot have religion stop us. I believe in God. God did not create me to get hurt. He created me whole, and he wants me whole. Support Keep Girls Safe Foundation so we can help people here in the United States. And I have manifested building a surgery center in Kenya that will be able to help people, because you never forget where you came from. You never. I have to go help the women there. The little girls that were mutilated, girls the same age with my daughter, that will never get married by a man. Why? Because the new generation don't want to marry a girl that has been mutilated. So they have to be married as the second, the fifth, or the seventh wife. Why? When they can be able to to get a clitoris back. That's what you can do for me. So visit Keep Girls Safe Foundation, invite and donate there. Invite me to come and speak so that I can teach you, and so that you can be able to go teach other people. Join me. Let's fight it together, because this is not a fight I can fight alone. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I want to say, let's not just get you as a speaker. Let's not just deal with female genital mutilation. But let's really address the big issue of women's abuse. It's no longer just awareness. It is, what is the next step? And having conversations like this, and I have to throw in that I'm so grateful that you just mentioned Europe, because that's where I'm from. And we do have more openness about this, right? We use the terminology more.
Yeah.
And in the United States, it's more of a mystery. It is very wrapped up, and therefore talking about the emotional abuse that usually is first,
Yes.
right? And I
Yes.
know Sheena and Trust can talk. It's first the emotional abuse of slowly breaking the spirit down,
Yes.
and then comes the rest. And it all has to do with little comments, whether it is about, well, you should be washing the dishes differently, or whether it is, well, did you gain a pound here? I don't like the way you did your hair. Depending on where the oppressor finds a way in, we don't talk about it enough. We don't address it enough. We're always on a higher level. So a conversation like this is absolutely important. And it's not that now all of the viewers have to say, well, do I support Namalokai, or do I support Sheena, or do I support Trust? No. Support women.
Period. Because listen, when we gang together, when we come together, think about it this way. As women, when one woman hurts, we all hurt. When one woman win, we all win. Because if today Sheena is happy, she raised her children healthy and happy. When I am, and those children are all our children. Let me tell you, we have a saying in my tribe that says, and I hear people saying in the United States, the children, your children are the village children. They are not your children. Think about it this way. When that child is out of your house, that child is not your child, it's the child of the world. Who is the world? We are the world. So the moment we start working together, the sooner this ends. And I want to say this to women. Women, it is time for us to invite men in the conversation, and it's time for us to get together and stop letting the men get us kicking each other like this, because they know when they separate us, we are weak. But when we are together, we stand together, we are unstoppable. My book is coming out in August. I am going to break down every single answer of how you can do to help a survivor, and what has helped me be this unstoppable lioness. What I have done, every single thing that I have done to be able to help me, it's going to be in my book. Look out for that book. It's coming out soon. I hope I can have you. You all can come and talk about this topic anymore. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity, and for all the viewers over there that have probably been triggered or probably feeling bad. Please just close your eyes. I'm a social worker by profession, so I still have to say this. Just close your eyes for a couple minutes, and then take 3 deep breaths. Think of a happy place, so that you don't take all this pain that we talked about, or the trauma, into your home tonight or when you're going to sleep. Get out from where you're sitting, walk, dance, or shake yourself. When I get up from where I'm sitting, I'm going to do a 15 minutes dance, so just to be able to shake out all the trauma, because it's a traumatic thing. I love you all, and thank you, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Namalokai. And we have gone over our time, and that's perfectly fine because this is important. I would love to have you all back at some time in the future, but before we go, Sheena and Trust, what are your last words to the audience for today, on advice, on thoughts, on requests? Anything you'd want to share? You've already poured your heart out, just like Nominal Kai. But what else would you like to say to close out this night, which I see as the beginning of a longer conversation?
I would like to say, love yourself. Even if you don't know how, figure out how to love yourself, because it starts there.
Mhm.
Give yourself permission to say no, because no is a complete sentence. And when you start explaining no, you start second guessing yourself. Go back to that plan that Sheena talked about. Find your tribe, gain your strength. And when you're feeling a little bit weak, that's okay. We all have those days, whether we're in abuse or not. Then lastly, I want to say, let Sheena speak. Sheena's voice has been silenced for so long. It's time to let Sheena speak.
Thank you. Sheena, what would you like for the rest of us to also know at the end?
I'm not here to speak any negativity. I'm here to speak life. Sheena speaks life. That's what I'm here to do. Make sure you heal yourself first. That's the most important, because you can't help another person until you are 100% healed. Know that you are not alone. You're not the only one. There is a way out. Trust your gut. And above all, put God first. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sheena. I want to thank everybody for being here and for sharing honestly in a real way. Again, I know for some of the people this has been uncomfortable, and this is just the beginning. I also want to briefly pick up what Namalokai said, and then I'll hand it over to Goldie. But Namalokai, you mentioned something that I think is also very important. You said, let the men in.
Oh, I
I
was going to
do
close with
think
that. Good, Natalie.
I do want to say that when I happen to meet these three amazing, powerful ladies who are sharing their light and their stories with us, it was at an event that was organized by a lady, but that had real men in it too. And right now, we do have somebody in the back who does not want us to mention him, but I can't help myself because he is the CEO and publisher of the Los Angeles Tribune. And he wants us to have these conversations. And we have seen in the virtual auditorium
Yeah.
men chiming in. So this is not a women's or a men's issue. This is a human issue
Yes.
Thank
that
you.
we must attack
Yes.
or deal with together. And so I want to thank everybody who supports this, who has listened, and especially those who are uncomfortable right now. So
Yes.
reach out to these amazing ladies. We will do more of this. And before I close out the night, Goldie, I'll give it to you and I'll let you close it out tonight.
You already said what I was going to say, and I'll ping it back to, Sheena made a really important point that it's not just her abuse, but it's the person that was abusing her and that person's family. And Trust said right when she was talking, she said women and men, and I think, again, you hit a great point. This is a human issue. And then Namon Lakai says communication, it's very important that just because I'm a woman that I don't come across, because I know I've got a real healthy audience that if they did tune in, it's probably 99% male, that I don't come across is that I'm not listening to things that they're saying. And the biggest thing that Sheena can leave us with tonight is, you've got to love yourself. And that goes for the men that are listening who might have been the abuser in the past or are doing that right now. Like, you've got to look for some help for you so that you can get better, whether or not you stay with your partner or not. Maybe it's a good idea to not be together. Sometimes that happens, but get the help that you need and figure out, if you're listening, where that anger is coming from. But it's a human issue. Communication. I thank you to anybody on my side of the fence that was listening tonight. I know y'all I didn't know this was coming. And I thank you for listening and keeping an open mind and an open heart. There's so many people listening. I know that follow the Los Angeles Tribune that are male that have amazing compassion. And just thank you. Make sure that we thank you. Please make sure that we list the website that she was saying, I didn't understand because of your accent where to go. So I want to know where to go. So can we list that out somewhere, Dr. Forrest, so that people can
Absolutely.
check out the link and know the book that's coming? And before we go, Sheena, unmute for just a second. What are you doing right now that you are looking forward to? I want to hear something awesome and positive that's brewing either in your mind or maybe you've already started. What is something that you can leave us on a note that we can be excited for you?
Well, for one thing, my daughter is about to graduate May the 21st with honors. And they both play basketball, their sports. So she has been offered athletic scholarships as well. And I am starting on my book myself.
Okay.
I've gotten through a lot of the tough parts, but I still got a lot to go. It's very uncomfortable. However, it is necessary to have uncomfortable conversations. And it's unnecessary that people know the uncomfortable feeling. It's necessary.
I'm so proud of you. And I'm so excited that you are taking all of this trauma and writing a book that not only will help you, but will help other people. I'm very excited about, I've got to get your name right. I can't put your glasses on, Goldie. Namala, how do you say it?
Namelokai.
Namalakai.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Very excited for your book. And we'll leave it also on Trust Destiny. What is something that we can be excited for you that you're doing right now that you can leave us on that note? Am I muted? You never know if I am.
No.
Can she hear me?
Trust.
Maybe she's frozen.
Yeah, I think she's frozen right now.
Trust,
No,
can you
there
hear
she
me?
I'm reading you on Facebook, but I can't hear you on my computer.
Oh, that's
Okay.
interesting.
All right. Well, we got some positive things to end on. That's what we wanted to leave it. We had someone say
I'm working on my book as well.
Okay.
And I'm starting a platform for Sheena. It's not so much about me, but I want to give back to Sheena.
So you're that advocate that the other women spoke of as just awesome. Thank you for doing that. And Dr. Forrest, thank you so much for having me and everyone. Mo Rock back there, thank you for this beautiful and amazing what was I going to say tonight? Platform panel. I wasn't expecting any of this and I learned a lot and I want to put it into practice. So I thank you.
Thank you, ladies. This is the beginning of a conversation. You are the people who have just carved out a new path. So I want to thank you for that. And I have to throw in Sheena. What an accomplishment. How your daughter is thriving. That shows the power of you, and that means the world is a better place already.
Yes, agreed. So, thank you all so much.
Thank you, ladies. And to the virtual audience, we shall see you next week. You never know what to expect with the Los Angeles Tribune, but it's real and it's important. Thank you and have a good night.
Stay safe.
Stay safe. Thank you.